to the mic. You can see on this picture actually I-10, which is it's at the top of the picture, and you can actually see that how close we are to both I-10 and to the Rio Grande in this, which fortunately had water in it last Saturday from all the snow melt. It was easy to see. We want to talk a little bit about the people that have had presence on this property. Of course, we know there's Native Americans who've been on this property, although because it's been quarried, at least in part, we haven't really been able to find anything there. Right across the river from us, there is evidence of people who lived in that area historically. The Spanish explorers, of course, came through following the Camino Real. Settlers came through. Missouri volunteers came through for the Mexican-American War. So this pathway of the Rio Grande has been followed by many of us, and now the modern culture is a binational culture, and again, the diocese has a very strong presence with the Mount Cristo Rey. So there's a lot of scientific significance to this property, and because we are a science center, of course, we have to talk about the scientific significance. But there's been a lot of studies that go on there from a variety of places. Of course, UTEP has a lot of research that happens there, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. NMSU is often down there. There's papers been published by NMSU faculty and students. The University of New Mexico's Museum of Natural History has done a lot of work down there. But a variety of sciences could be explored on this property and are being explored on this property. We're going to talk a little bit more about several of them, but as you all know, we are in the middle of the Chihuahuan Desert, and it is a strong representative of the Chihuahuan Desert community. So biology, I was out there last Saturday trying to take some pictures, and we came across thousands of coyote tracks, so I had to take a picture of the tracks. It's a very diverse ecology on this property, like much of the Chihuahuan Desert is, because we're adjacent to the Rio Grande River, and we have some areas that are ponding areas on the property. We do have some riparian habitat there. There's been a lot of animals seen out there. We saw great blue herons flying by, ducks on the river. I mean, everything was out there this weekend except the snakes and lizards because it was a little cold out there for them. But the raptors were out, and other migratory and resident avian species. Since we have a geologist with us, he's going to be talking to you about the geology.
Yeah, the fossils are pretty, aside from the dinosaur footprints, we have not found any dinosaur bones and don't probably expect to, but the tracks are pretty spectacular. Las Cruces here has some very important tracks just north of here. Those are Permian, and there's kind of smaller life forms than the dinosaurs. This is a fossil, shell fossil. You can see this is a large one. This was just found also on the property this past weekend, and that's pretty spectacular. They're like this hillside right here. This is Cretaceous rock that the gentleman is standing on, and this is dipping off to the north. So during the Cretaceous period, when the dinosaurs were around, these rocks formed a shallow beach, and is where all the tracks are located. And then there's a lot of other fossils like this. The abundance of fossils in some places is enormous. And yes, we actually do permit school children to pick up the fossils and take some home. That's not often done on other parks, and maybe in the future we'll have to control that a little bit. But to see the excitement of the kids with, I got a fossil today is pretty exceptional. In the center of the mountain, the main mass of the mountain with the cross on it, is a tertiary igneous intrusion. That was a magma chamber, and that's why the mountain kind of looks like a volcano, but actually the volcano stood about 3 kilometers up above what's currently visible, and that's all been eroded away. But so there is a diversity of geologic phenomena there that we take students from UTEP, we take them and have a number of teaching exercises that they do in the field and mapping things, observing things. It's quite exceptional. So this is on the right is the kind of tan brown colored rock is the Anapra Formation. That is the rock formation that the dinosaur footprints are found in. You can see the Franklin Mountains in the distance. And some of the paleontology, these are some of the different, and some of the names of the species are listed over there with their tracks. And it has been, as I say, this has been documented. The supervisor of the documentation is a gentleman at the New Mexico's Museum of Natural History and Science, Spencer Lucas. And so he has supervised a lot of the paleontological studies that have gone on there and which continue to this day.
So this is a little bit of, this is our trail map. It's a Google map housed on the UTEP geology website, but showing all the sites where there's QR codes. And here's a few of the tracks that are out there. This one's highlighted so you can see it. They're really hard to pick up on pictures sometimes, but this is a photo Eric Kappas took for one of his programs. There's evidence of crocodilian swimmers. I don't know if you can see the tracks that are here where they were literally swimming on the beach and their feet were clawing on the ground there. I don't know if you can see that one or not. Anybody see it? It's a challenge for you. Can you see it now? So that's probably about, I don't know, about 6 feet tall, 8 feet tall. That's a big track. And then we have a whole wall of tracks that are, it's so amazing. There's nothing pictures can do to justify it. The little boy is standing on the edge of one of the tracks, which one of the reasons we're here is we want to try and protect this site. And somebody went and tried to do a plaster cast on that. You can see it was damaged. On the right, that's a group of UTEP students. They are each sitting in a track. And that wall, this is Eric Kappas, who's a PhD candidate at UTEP. He discovered the tracks, and that wall is probably 50 feet long, but there's probably 3 or 4 times that much that has not been uncovered. And we have not uncovered it because we're trying to protect it. If we uncover it and it's not protected, it'll be damaged. But we do take out tour groups out there, and I want to tell you just a quick story about about Eric Kappas. He was an undergraduate. He's kind of a wild character. He's a tracker, and he went out with a field trip from his geology department, and the professor got mad at him. Told him to have a seat. Just sit right there. We'll be back to get you. So he sat down on the ground and he's twiddling his thumbs, and he starts looking around him and he realizes that he's sitting next to a dinosaur track because he's a tracker. He told the professor when the professor came back, "Look, I found this dinosaur track." And the professor said, "Oh, no, you're wrong. That's not a dinosaur track." So he sent photos, was it to Spencer? To Spencer. To Spencer, who not only confirmed it, but then they started uncovering these hundreds of dinosaur tracks on the site. Once he discovered it, Eric Kappas was instrumental in making sure that the property was not quarried anymore, and he was able to facilitate Job Concrete donating the property to Insights to try and protect it.
Just a little word on that. Do you remember when you were a child and you thought about discovering new things? And then as you grow, you start to think that discovering new things is hard to do because everybody's already found them now. This is the first time in my adult life where exploring outside, after having kind of lost some of that connection with nature and losing my fierce desire to be outdoors, where I once again found that inner child inspired. And I want to spend all this time out there exploring, because we can't tell you how many times that visitors come and find a track of their own that we didn't even know existed. So it's a place where you can connect with your inner child, and children are already geeking out there. And it's a place that inspires you to spend more time outside. So I love the Eric story, and I just love the stories that we hear from people down there. I just wanted to share that with you, because if nothing else, I hope that you visit the tracks after your discussion with us today, and we'd love to coordinate that for you. But it's an immense resource for so many reasons. So because we realize this is a resource that we need to better understand how people are utilizing it, and personally, I know from my nature adventuring, some of the best marketing that you can get is word of mouth. How many bloggers are there out there that are pointing people towards the right way to go, whether it's a waterfall or whether it's some secret geocaching site? There are people that are finding this, even though we don't have a huge marketing campaign out there for it. And so it definitely has a draw of its own. Because the only way that we do advertise it is for group tours. We've had 212 people visit since May. We have 120 people who've taken the time just to stop at that post right there and fill out a survey that says, this is why I visited, I plan on coming back, and I plan on bringing more people. Every single one of them. The groups that we know that visit this, and we're trying to get a better understanding to help, again, preserve it and get the word about how to access this property. UTEP and NMSU use it regularly. Texas Metro Naturalists are all over it. Teachers, students, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, they're regularly visiting this area out there. A couple other things. I don't know if any of you have QR code readers, but if you're actually to scan this image right here, just like you do at the grocery store to find out if there's deals, information will pop up. A photo, information about that site, what you're looking at. Those posts are all over there thanks to some UTEP students that did the work. It's easy access from I-10, but not so close that you have to worry about that intense traffic, and it can accommodate a lot of people visiting. There's
highway, by the way. The end of it's the wrong number.
Okay, wrong highway number, disregard. There is ample space for building, parking. This land could actually potentially be parceled out into different uses, whether it's a natural history museum or something along those lines, or extensions, field trip groups, housing different groups to go out there. And then also, because it is slightly removed from this area, and El Paso does have the soft evening lights, it's excellent stargazing, and it provides a great vantage point. So just about every natural hobby that you want to get and go out there is capable from this land.
So we know this site has countless opportunities available to the public. There's hiking, there's nature explorations, there's scientists doing research. People go out trying to find a new dinosaur track. There are a lot of historical inspirations and multicultural experiences. The train situation out there, I don't think we talked very much about that, but there's 2 tracks running on either side of the property going to Santa Teresa area. And the historical train group in El Paso is really excited about helping to develop this site. So there's a lot of different opportunities. We came to talk to you today because we think that we have joint goals. So the commission has a goal of creating a path all the way through the state of New Mexico as a recreational opportunity so that people can enjoy the natural beauty of New Mexico and the Rio Grande, to learn about culture and history, and to preserve environmentally sensitive property. And Insights has the same goals. We're trying to find a way to preserve this property. It's an incredible opportunity, not only for scientific education, but for all kinds of education and for opportunities for people to be outside. So historical and cultural education and experiences for people to have. Oh, that one?
That one works. I can yell. I'm a drum major former, so I can. So we know that this is a great resource. Everyone we talk to agrees this is a great resource, and we're putting our heads together trying to figure out how to preserve it. We're really excited to hear about this for several reasons. Ellen and Phil represent our board, and obviously, as a science center, we have another priority. El Paso is the 19th largest city in the country, and out of the top 25, we're the only one without a natural history or science center that is permanent. And so that is a huge, huge undertaking in and of itself. And we're working very hard to change that scenario. Meanwhile, we have this resource that's lying just over on the other state border. And we don't know how to best preserve it on our own. And so that's why we're having these conversations. We need help. We recognize that this property needs to be preserved. We know that we don't have the resources to do it on our own. And so with the idea that we have stories that we want to tell, and that you have a story of New Mexico you want to tell, and that your story goes from point A to point B, and recognizing that we have one of those points, we would like to figure out how we can collaborate with you to figure out how to best make use of this resource. We've been speaking with different organizations to include the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science. There are different stakeholders with property in the region, people who are interested in industry development in Sunland Park, different political figures. We've been trying to start those conversations to figure out how do we maximize the potential of this resource for inspiring interest in science, for getting people outdoors, for understanding the history of this region, which is very, I'm a newcomer here. I'm from Phoenix. I'm a military spouse, so I've been all over the country. And the wealth of resources in this part of the country is so underappreciated. And I think this trail is going to make a big difference for people's perceptions and perhaps even where they choose to go during their summer vacation and those sorts of things. From Phoenix, we went east or we went to Colorado. I think this is something that my parents would have brought me to. So that being said, there's a united desire for all of us to do something with this property, and we're excited to continue the conversation with you on how we can support your efforts and you can help us preserve this the proper way. So on to Ellen again.
We have on our PowerPoint some resources. If anybody's interested, I do have it on a USB. I could transfer it to you. So or I can email it to anybody who would like to have it. And please feel free to contact us if we can answer any questions. When it's not raining and so foggy we could hardly see to get here, we would love to have you come out to see the dinosaur tracks so that hopefully that you can give us some ideas and help us to spur the ability to protect this valuable piece of property. Thank you all so much for having us to come talk to you. We really appreciate it.
I want to
Do you have any questions?
thank you all for this presentation, and I think that's one of the great things about this project that we're doing. There are opportunities for partnering and collaborating and cooperating with other entities. We've had presentations at our previous meetings from the Bureau of Land Management. Terry Husland is here again today. We appreciate Terry's interest. At the last meeting, we had a presentation from the Rio Grande del Norte Monument. There's a lot of opportunities for collaboration there. So we look forward to continuing to interact with you folks, and I'll open it up for comments from the Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, if I could announce, former City Councilor Nathan Small just arrived and notified me as well that there's a green truck in the parking lot whose lights are on. So I don't know if anyone has a green truck. So just FYI. Question, thank you so much for being here. And